All right, we're talking to Peter Schweizer. He is the author of the new book, Throw Them All Out. I left with the question, Peter, because you're exposing corruption of almost biblical proportion. And none of them care whether they're running guns to Mexico. They don't care. Nobody seems to care in Washington. Why?
Well, it's a good question. I think part of it is, like with the green energy program, is that they try to cloak it in that they are doing something amazingly good for us, and we just need to accept it and appreciate it. And that doesn't mean that they can't enrich themselves, and they are going to enrich themselves. So they try to cloak what they do, this wealth accumulation and this graft, in something noble and something good, and they're hoping that people won't notice it. But I also think there is the issue that, Washington, D.C. is this sort of hermetically sealed culture that is different from the rest of the country. And the scary thing is that as the rest of the country struggles, Washington, D.C. is doing great. I mean, 7 of the 10 wealthiest counties in the United States are counties now that border Washington, D.C.
That's crazy. I have to tell you, I said this the other day. If I were running for president, which I would not and I never would, if somebody, I would vote for this candidate in a heartbeat that would come on and say with total conviction, I just want you to know, if you live in any of the surrounding areas around Washington, D.C., I recommend you sell your house now because your home price is going to plummet when I get to Washington.
Yeah, no, that's really what needs to be done, because crony capitalism has taken over, traditional free market capitalism.
Would you say this is crony capitalism? Because that's what we were doing. I think this is now crony socialism.
Yes, that's exactly right. And as a friend of mine said, in America today, we have socialism for the very poor and socialism for the very rich, and we have brutal capitalism for the middle class. And that's really the reality. So you're going to see that a lot of the people making money on these green energy programs, they're billionaires. They've already got theirs. Or they're people like Al Gore or Robert Kennedy Jr. that are very comfortable and have gotten very rich, and they're using our money to get even more rich. If I can just give you one example of how this works, there's a company called Amyris Biotechnology that ended up getting a government grant. A guy named John Doerr, who's a Silicon Valley billionaire, and Al Gore, who's his partner, the former vice president, put $16 million into this company. Then Senator Dianne Feinstein and her husband put $1 million of equity into this company. Weeks later, Amyris Biotechnology gets a $25 million cash grant. It's not a loan. This is cash. And they send up a check, and, oh, by the way, it's tax-free. After they get the federal government grant, there's called this halo effect where, wow, this is great. The government's giving them money. It must be a good business and a good company. What happens is they then issue an IPO, and in a matter of less than a year, Al Gore and John Doerr's $16 million is now worth $89 million, courtesy of money that the Obama administration put into a company that was owned by their connected friends. And that's just been replicated over and over and over again.
Wow. Peter, who did you find is the biggest offender of this in Congress right now?
In Congress? Mm-hmm. I think there are a couple of them. One is Nancy Pelosi with the IPOs, and you saw her denials, which were amazingly ridiculous.
Yep.
Not only did 60 Minutes cover this, Newsweek had a follow-up piece that explained how they actually got these shares. She has participated in at least 10 IPO deals that we know of, and some of those were literally
these people,
Netscape and other companies where they got access to shares, the stock price doubled or tripled, and then the next day they just sold those shares.
These people are so, and they are the ones, at least Nancy Pelosi, talking about how the rich keep getting richer and how, I mean, it is.
And look at her. Look at what she's doing behind the scenes.
They really think that they can stand with these Occupy Wall Streeters and get away with it. The Occupy Wall Streeters, they're not dummies. You might think they are. They're not.
And they think they're hiding behind the law because it's not illegal. So it's going to be fine. But when the occupiers find out what they're doing, that's not going to go well for them.
No, it won't at all.
But I keep hearing, Peter, about this House Financial Services Committee Chairman, Spencer Bacchus, who's a Republican from Alabama. He's one of the big offenders as well, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Here's a guy who was the ranking member of the House Financial Services Committee. He was, during the financial crisis of 2008, while the rest of us were sort of biting our fingernails, wondering what was going to happen. He was actively and aggressively trading stock options. He would have private briefings with the Fed chairman and with the Treasury secretary, and literally the next day he would buy something called ProShares Ultra Short, which meant he was leveraging, knowing that the market was going to go down, and he more than doubled his money. He made tens of thousands of dollars trading stock options, 40 of them during this time period, and he made a lot of money. He has come back and responded and said that on 3 or 4 of the trades I had my facts wrong, which I can check. He doesn't deny any of the others, and he doesn't deny that he was at these meetings and he was actually betting against America.
How'd you get all this information?
Well, I would encourage your listeners to do this to their representatives because we didn't do it to everyone. You can go to opensecrets.org, which has the personal financial disclosures
Unbelievable.
Of all of them. I would look at what their trading activity is, look which committees they're on, and then see how their trading activity correlates with what's going on in their committee. And I think in most cases people are going to be very, very surprised.
Only have about 15 seconds. Is anybody going to go to jail, and do you think there will be significant change because of this?
I doubt it. I don't think anybody's going to go to jail, and I doubt that there's going to be significant change unless the American people really rise up on this issue.
Oh, they're about to. Unfortunately, Peter, they're about to. Peter, thank you very much. Appreciate all your hard work, and keep it up. God bless you.
Thanks, Glenn.
You bet. Bye-bye. Name of the book is Throw Them All Out. Gee, that sounds like a solution. Throw Them All Out. Available everywhere.
BECK.
Mercury.